Picture this. It's 5:45 a.m. Está demasiado bravo la zona. No te van a aceptar. It is too dangerous. The players will never accept you. These were the words running through my mind as I sat waiting for the bus headed to the southern El Bajo Flores in Argentina. They were the final words my concerned father had told me only a few hours earlier, before my plane had departed. I was set to go try out at Argentinos Juniors, a best-in-class soccer club that has produced legends like Diego Maradona and current stars today like Alexis McAllister from the Premier League. In that moment, as I sat waiting for the bus, only God knew how the club would react to a sheltered and privileged outsider like myself from Miami. 7:05 a.m. I don't know exactly how long I spent in that daydream, but by the time I snap out of it, I realize that I've missed the bus and must wait for the next one. I hear a voice behind me. I'll take you. I turn around. It's Mono Gordillo, a friend of my father who must have seen the bus leave without me. He ushers me into his car before speeding off onto Santa Fe Avenue. 7:15 a.m. The training has already started. I walk in through the gate and step in line with the rest of the players, running over to the field for the warm-ups. 7:17 a.m. Why are you late? Darian asked me. I later found out his name. Not realizing how serious he was in that moment, I brushed off his question, laughing, who cares? As I run over to the next ball, Darian shoves me to the ground. The coach blows his whistle for a water break. Disgruntled, I stand up to defend myself, but Darian's final words before walking away, up to this day even, leave me speechless. Some of us have to wake up hours early to take care of our family. Some of us don't even have parents. 7:19 a.m. Feeling so overwhelmed by my insensitivity, I go through the motions the rest of the training session, unsure and unaware how I allowed myself to reject my values, my faith, and everything my parents had taught me thus far in life, to offend someone so deeply. If anything, I was at Argentinos Juniors to learn from them, their culture, their community, their society, not to showcase my aloofness as a Miami boy. Thankfully, I didn't let this first experience ruin the rest of my trip. No. In fact, after my conversation with Darren, I committed myself to leaving something more positive, more true, more altruistic at Argentinos Juniors that would last much after my tenure ended there. Even though my trip would eventually have to end and I'd have to return to Miami for school the next year, I knew that this way of thinking sparked a revelation and thought that from that moment moving forward was just beginning to manifest itself right there.
Imagine yourself in the shoes of a 16-year-old athlete. You're watching the FIFA World Cup with your family, envisioning your future self on that field. You dream about becoming a professional player, playing alongside the very stars of the game you grew up watching. You fantasize about scoring that game-winning goal, about telling a reporter about your story and your journey, and then clutching that victory trophy, that symbol that serves not only to represent success, but for the hard work and the dedication that you put in to make it possible. But suddenly, you wake up, realizing all of this is impossible because the local academy is too expensive, and so is the gear and the nutrition, the transportation, the hydration, the cleats, the uniforms, the equipment, and the 20 other things that many athletes take for granted. But in fact, they're not for granted at all. These are actually the financial necessities that to many athletes are merely barriers and obstacles to the game they love. What else can you do now? You're stuck. And suddenly, that dream, it's over. This was just one of many similar stories I heard listening to players represented by my father, who's an agent from Venezuela. Growing up, I realized that no matter how talented these players were, the unspoken costs that come from the time of an athlete's formation all the way to when they seek exposure are enough to end their careers. And even at the highest level of soccer in Venezuela, players don't even make near enough profit to sustain themselves and much less their families. It was truly heartbreaking to hear how these players would have to call my father and with trembling voices and utmost hesitation, they said that they couldn't keep playing the game they love because of these financial necessities and in addition to the ones they faced at home. But they knew they had no choice. However, I did. I had a choice. I made the choice to one day find a community where players were at an age where I could still support them before this horrible thing happened to them. And then, that day came. One rainy Monday morning, in ceramics class, making our sculptures, chatting with Joaquin, I decided to tell him my story. And in response, he shared his. And there, I realized 4 things. 1, that comment made by Darian, it was enough to make me realize that these financial issues faced by players and these issues in general are deeper than just finance. 2, we had identified a common problem, limitations in youth sports in South America. 3, I had found my community. That team that Joaquin had spent so much time with, Argentinos Juniors, had players that were still at an age where I could still support before the system inevitably swallowed them up. And 4, that we should team up, because when we did, we knew that we had created something special, that we had found that revelation that was just beginning to manifest itself, and we had found the solution and the response to our unique experiences and stories that brought us both here today.
And that became Goals for Goals, our school service club that designs engaging educational activities like lunch and learns and guest speaker presentations with members from the soccer world. In addition, we also host charity events like mini soccer matches, tournaments, and other things, other forms of charity work that we use to finance Argentinos Juniors. In turn, these funds are then used to help with player contracts, to fund new roads, nutritional plans, and many other things. But most importantly, to finance our awareness base at Goals for Goals, in which we pair up impressionable young teenagers with a mentor here in Miami, players like us who care equally as we do, and to shed a positive light on them in the face of so much adversity and so much hardship.
But Goals for Goals doesn't just finance Argentinos Juniors, because as much as our impact has been big on them, it's been just as big right here in our own school community. By turning our idea and our passion into a club, we've been able to encourage students and athletes from throughout the upper school to become advocates, leaders, and role models themselves. We've done this through the expansive engagement opportunities that we've created, like simple club donations and event presence, all the way to being members on the club board. And thanks to these, we've received an unprecedented amount of support. And we're truly overjoyed to see how many of these members voluntarily come to us, reaching out with ideas for things like new programs, new events, new guest speakers, and new communities to look into, and many more that have helped us get to where we are today. And you should see the smiles on their faces of the members and athletes that come to these events, knowing that they're not just there to play soccer or to even donate money, but to be part of something bigger, bigger than themselves and bigger than all of us, to be part of something that allows them to turn their passion for soccer, the passion that brought us together as a group, into a passion for service and helping others.
Right now, this may seem very overwhelming, and the truth is, it was very overwhelming for me. And it may also seem as if we're here just merely to advertise for Goals. And the truth is that, realistically, is that even though we would love for you to join Goals for Goals, the mission that we started, the real reason that we're here is actually not that at all. The truth is that you don't have to love soccer, you don't have to donate money to South America, you don't even have to play sports in general to make a difference in one of your own communities. But what I do know is that for everyone sitting in the audience here today, no matter who you are, student, parent, teacher, is that you can make a difference in one of the communities that you embody, that you love, with all of the many skill sets seen at Miami Country Day right now. But what it does require is that you must put your mind to it, to the point where you can feel the struggles of the people trying to make it in your field, in your own respective field, every single day, unsuccessfully so. And once you put yourself in their shoes, the underrepresented people, that's when you will have an inciting moment like George and I had, me at the bus stop, or him with his father and him being a son of an agent. And that's what's going to mark your inciting moment that will start your project and will serve you for the rest of your life.
We won't lie to you. Starting your project won't be easy, neither finding the right ideas nor their execution. When we started Goals for Goals, we faced many challenges, from finding suitable event times for everyone, finding the right events for everyone, and getting people to join, even getting people to show up. It took us several months to find the right audience and the right ideas. But when we did, we knew we didn't just have a club or an organization. We had the honor and the privilege of leading a community of over 60 members, a true team dedicated to making a difference in the lives of others.
At its most fundamental level, service is being a role model. When I was back at the club in 2023, meeting Darian and the rest of my clubmates at Argentina Juniors. I didn't know it, but I needed a role model myself, someone I could trust in an environment so different from mine. And as George said, starting your project won't be very easy. You'll face a lot of challenges, as we did with Goals for Goals. But the way I see challenge, all it is to me at least, is a marker of the importance of the job you're doing. Because realistically, if you're not facing challenges, ask yourself, are you really doing anything important in the first place? So, it truly is pretty clear to me that being a role model isn't easy, obviously, but it's definitely worth it. Thank you.
Thank you.